Like what's under your portfolio right now in terms of like how much Airbnb and how much are you expected to generate within the next year?
I am waiting to hear back on Monday about 5 other units. That would put me around $390,000 for the year.
What's going on, guys? I just sat down with my student Emma. Emma's been working about 50, 60, 70 hours a week, working two full-time jobs with no exit strategy. She's just been working, grinding, saving up that money, trying to do a side hustle, and that's when she contacted me about 4 months ago. And ever since those 4 months, she was able to lock in 4 Airbnbs. So now Emma's projected to make roughly around $400,000. So I'm gonna let Emma explain to you guys how she was able to do that.
How did you hear about Airbnb or the mentorship and what made you decide to start?
I kind of just heard through word of mouth of one of my friends. She vouched highly for my mentor. And that really made me want to move forward with it. Like I said, something I'd been considering for years. And, just how informative the mentor was on that first discovery call. That's what made me really want to move forward with mentorship because of the trust that was created there.
And what made you want to do Airbnb arbitrage specifically?
It was always just something that I had kind of gravitated towards, just being in the hospitality industry in general. I like the idea of being able to be creative with the setup, of being guest facing, even via the chat. Just being able to kind of grow a business on your own. I had heard a lot of people say in the past that it teaches you a lot about business. And after being in it now, I definitely feel like that's true. And it's definitely taught me a lot.
Perfect, perfect. And before joining the mentorship, what were you doing, and what are your financial? What was your financial situation looking like?
Before I joined the mentorship, I was working as the assistant general manager at a restaurant. I was making usually just salary monthly. I would work a couple bartending shifts here and there. But I had some money saved up. I had always thought that that was kind of what was needed in order to get into, starting Airbnb in the first place. Turns out I didn't necessarily need that to start. But I mean, it was a good kind of investment, a good seed to plant. But there's definitely ways to go about it, even, without having that seed ready.
Yeah, so you were working like how many hours a week?
70, 80, maybe, trying to, yeah, get the bread right before. But
And it's crazy how you still wanted to start the whole side hustle. You're working 70, 80 hours. Like that's just insane to me. That just also proves that like, no excuses.
yeah, I mean, no excuses, definitely. And like it just gets to a point where you're like, am I even like building anything for myself, like doing this? Like
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
point I got to. Like I'm like, I could invest in, a house, like put money down on a house, but then realistically, like I don't really have the money to do that. Like, yes, I have money on the
Yeah.
side, but like, yeah, it's just not, if you're not building something for yourself, then like you're just trading your time.
What was your biggest challenge or fear, when you were starting your first Airbnb?
Honestly, talking to the landlords. um, but it's something that like I've always read and heard and not really ever had it applied. But like just hearing no, like you have to get used to it quick, like at first. And then, you learn kind of what to do with those. You learn how to ask better questions. You learn how to, introduce yourself better, and just with confidence. And just, hearing no isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like you can ask for shit and not receive it, but if you never ask, closed mouths don't get fed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that was really my biggest thing going into it, was just hearing no, and realizing that like that was fine. Like that's one step closer to a yes.
Perfect. And at one moment during the mentorship did everything start to click? Because I know like you start to build momentum and then I feel like at one point you start to gain that confidence. So at what moment was that for you?
I think it was just talking like with enough landlords. For me, it was my first unit. Uh, I had the information I needed to get the unit, but not to build the like I didn't have the momentum yet. So it's kind of like once you build that, you're just in it at that point. Like after you have that first one and it really you start to see the process from beginning to end, from when you tour it and that first touch point with the landlord all the way to, when your first guest checks in, and then fielding guests, having, different guest requests, and kind of just the first time everything like gets thrown at you, it's learning how to field all that. And then once you get to a certain point of like, okay, like I feel like a guest could say whatever and I would know how to respond. I feel like a landlord could, hit me up with any question and like I would know the answer.
Oh yeah, it's like the experience, right? Like in the
Yeah.
beginning, you're just more nervous, you're anxious, and then once you kind of get the rhythm of it, you just have all the tools in your arsenal to kind of like combat any type of like, rebuttals that you get. So I
Yeah.
feel like you're at that stage now where you're like, all right, give me the hardest question you can find and I'll figure it out. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No. And then I think just, you have to have some trust in the system to start. But then like once you see it play out, like it's hard to not have that trust.
Yeah, you start building the confidence and like how we were talking about last night with the other two units potentially, like just that confidence is like everything you need to kind of really like build that momentum. So you got it. You got it. And so right now, like what's under your portfolio right now in terms of like how much Airbnb and how much are you expected to generate within the next year?
So currently I have 4 leases signed. I'm moving into 2 in the next 2 months. And then I am waiting to hear back on Monday about 5 other units. One of them, I got lucky with one of the agents. We talked on the phone for like 30 minutes about, he was talking to me about Thailand. Like you just have to bullshit with people sometimes.
Yeah.
And so he put me on to a couple of units, and one of them was, an upstairs and a downstairs. So that was 2 of the units. So that application kind of goes hand in hand. Um, so with just those 4 units right now, I'm looking at about 100, probably around 110 profit margin.
Nice.
And if I were to get accepted for all the units that I applied for that I'll hear back on Monday, and then I have a couple of others working for September, that would put me around $390,000 for the year.
Isn't it crazy how like within a year you were kind of able to generate like 300,000?
It's wild because like I've always been like, okay, like when you first start a business, like it's slow and like, it's a lot of work. And like that's the thing, like I'll get off a call and I'm like, okay, like I just made 40 grand. I'm like, well, I didn't make 40 grand. Like I had the opportunity to make 40 grand. Like, yeah. But yeah, no, it's crazy how quickly like it builds and just how good that is if you're an entrepreneur and that's, something that you want to build into your portfolio is just having a cash flowing business. It's such a good model for that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then what's one thing that you were most surprised about when you started to actually run the Airbnb business?
I think just I mean, I don't have anything specific really. I think you kind of gave me away to all the surprises, but I guess just how quickly it can grow. And how quickly you kind of step into that role because you have to. People come to you with problems and like you have to solve. Like no one else who's going to carry the boats. Like you have to solve them. And so uh, I think it was on a call the other day that I had with a landlord. He like asked me. He's like, "So are you an entrepreneur?" And I just never really like taken on like that identity. I'd never really like thought about it before that. And I was like, shit, yeah, like I guess I am. So then I went down the whole rabbit hole of like, what is an entrepreneur? Like, what does this mean? And it's just taking higher than normal risk to generate profit. And it's like, shit, like once you step into that and like you own that and you recognize like what you're actually doing, um, it's kind of just when things like start to flow. So I guess that's what was the most surprising is just what you learn about business and about yourself, and then when that actually starts to like hit a flow state.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned to you before, like I have a whole community that I work with, and some things I've actually noticed between all the students I've actually helped is like pretty much like, I've had students like you that, were able to get more than one, two, three Airbnbs within a year. I mean, you're a different case, you're basically locking in seven by a year, which is kind of nuts. It's kind of crazy to say. But
Yeah.
there's other students who's been in it for over a year. You're like, hey, I just have one. What am I doing? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I mean, you tried it out, you got the money, you just didn't know how to manage the money. Now you're scared, and then you lost the confidence, and you lost the momentum. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's I feel like at the end of the day, it really is all about momentum when it comes to like how quickly you're able to grow your business and how successful you could technically be as an entrepreneur. But I think what most people kind of slack on in terms of like what sets them back is fear. I think at the end of the day, that's really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it's an investment and like it's a risk, but it's a risk with a system.
Yeah.
And so you just have to have confidence in that.
And your final question, Emma, before you leave. So, if someone was watching this and they were interested in doing Airbnb, but they felt kind of nervous, what would you tell them?
Trust in the system. Like you'll see it after your first one. Um, there's no way to not trust the system. Like just
Yeah.
once you see it live and you're in it, um, take the first step. It's not as scary as it seems once you take it. You have a guide along the path with you. So There's really no failing as long as you remain curious and you ask the right questions.
Perfect, Emma. I appreciate your time. That's it for this little interview, this little testimonial. So I appreciate everything, you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. I was like, I'm gonna call Alejandro last night, and Brandon's like, do you think he's gonna answer? I was like, I don't know, I don't care. I'm just gonna give him a call. Like if he does, cool. I was like, but I don't really know anybody else that would be up at this time, like willing to talk business at this hour.
No, yeah, something with me too is like I'll yab about business. I just passionately love it, you know, when it comes to like, you know, telling people, guiding people, because it affected me in such a tremendous way last year when it came to like, you know, the wedding, when it came to me like actually, you know, coming from like a background of a low income family, it kind of like hits a little harder when like, you know, you see a family struggle for so many years and then you finally see that potential, that kind of tunnel vision where it's like, if I keep working in this space, I could actually do something about it. You know, I could actually like when they retire them, I could one day actually like have my wife stay at home with the kids. Like I could actually build that life. So, you know, I get very passionate because nowadays I really feel like that vision is lost, you know, in terms of like building a family, doing it for the right reasons. Like a lot of people that I work with all kind of have the same background and reasons of why they want to start. It's like that financial freedom to take care of their parents. To, you know, it's really rare for me to find a student that's like, yo, I just want to make money so I could like fuck bitches to get money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure if we were in Miami, that might be different, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And honestly, like at a certain point, like money can't change you. Like people tell me all the time, like, yo, like as you're growing in life in time in terms of like money, just be very careful. Cause like, you know, with more money comes more problems and more, you know. So
Mhm.
you'll probably eventually like kind of go through like little things like that as you know, you it looks like your journey is like just starting, but it's showing like high potential. So, you know, that it's just nice to talk to someone about it that's also kind of at that level that's like, you know, not I guess like a male either, you know, or like you have female perspective. It's always good to have like from both parts. So
Yeah, no, it's interesting, like just being in like the space and being like, yo, like there's like my friend, like I told them like, yeah, like this is what like I'm doing. They're like, okay, cool. Like they think it's cool, but they like it's hard to go like more like in depth unless like you really know what the shit's about. So it's like for me, like Sarah's really the only other girl that like thinks the same as me, like in that aspect.
yeah. I was gonna say like the only other girl that I really thought what like really had that mindset was Sarah. And then I
Yeah,
tried working with Sarah, but she ended up backing out. But she introduced me to you. So
yeah. So it all
yeah.
worked out. Nah,
Shout
she'll be
out
back.
to
I know
Sarah.
she will. Yeah. Nah, she'll be back. But yeah, no, it's nice just to be able to kind of be more involved in the space. It's when I moved like back to Boston, because I mean, I think I told you I was living in Miami and then I was living in Bali. Like when I moved back here, that was part of it too, is that like I was like, like I know people like this exist. Like it's a very like academic city, like all that shit, but like it's not like that's not like who I'm trying to talk to. Like I'm trying to figure out like the business side like of Boston.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I always kind of felt like I had a chip on my shoulder just because like being in like hospitality, being in restaurants for so long, like it's like obviously that's not like where anyone like necessarily wants to be at.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so kind of just having something that like you're building for yourself, and it's crazy all the skills that actually like translate from being a manager. Because I
Yeah.
was so tentative to be a manager at first, and then like I was like, shit, like that kind of changed my life in a weird way.
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely think it helps you like develop like those basic skills of like taking control, taking responsibility, and you
yes.
know really get into that mindset. So I think that also really helped you know distinguish you from the others and just grow in such a fast pace because those qualities need to be taught, and it's only really taught once you get the experience, and then you have the experience. So it's kind of perfect.
Hmm.
So good for you, Emma. Good for you. Well, I appreciate your time. That's pretty much it for today. And then yeah, just keep me updated on those other two units we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, sounds good. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you next Wednesday, I think.
I appreciate it, Emma. Thank you. Let me
All right.
know.
All right, sounds good. Talk soon. Bye.
Appreciate Emma for hopping on a call and sharing her story. If any of you guys want one-on-one help with getting your very first Airbnb, fill out the form down in the description and we'll get in touch shortly. Until next time, guys.